What would you do if the man living across from you never opened his windows, never spoke more than a few words, and only came alive at night? For Ayesha, it began with footsteps in the dark and stains on a white kurta. At first, it felt like paranoia, until she found the bracelet of a missing girl in his bag. What she discovered next would uncover one of the most chilling secrets her building had ever hidden. The building had stood for more than 40 years in one of Karachi's oldest neighborhoods. Its walls were water, stained from years of monsoons. Its paint chipped and faded to a dull yellow. At night, the dim bulbs in the corridor buzzed and flickered, casting long shadows that made the hallway look endless. Children avoided the stairwell after dark, claiming it felt haunted. For Ayesha and her widowed mother, this building was not haunted, it was home. Their flat was small, but filled with warmth. Old family photographs hung on the cracked walls. The smell of her mother's cooking often filled the air, mingling with the sounds of neighbors' TVs and radios. Their life was simple, sometimes hard but predictable. Then, one hot July evening, the rhythm of their lives shifted. A man moved into the flat directly across from theirs. He introduced himself quietly Rizwan. He carried almost nothing with him, just a single suitcase and a duffel bag. He was tall, slim, and his face was unreadable, as though carved from stone. His eyes, however, were sharp, scanning everything around him before settling politely on whoever addressed him. He spoke little, and when he did, his voice was calm and even. "Yes, thank you. I'm fine. Good evening. No more, no less." The neighbors approved of him immediately. "He's respectful," one said. "He's the kind of tenant you want." "No trouble, no noise," said another. Even Ayesha's mother was convinced. "He's quiet, Beta. That's a good quality. Don't judge a man just because he doesn't laugh loudly like others." But Ayesha felt it, something her mother and the others ignored. His silence wasn't the quiet of peace. It was the silence of someone hiding behind it. Whenever she crossed paths with Rizwan in the narrow corridor, her stomach twisted. He had the uncanny ability to look directly at her without a word, as if peeling back layers she wanted to keep hidden. From the very first night, Ayesha knew there was something wrong with him. At first, it was only subtle. Rizwan never opened his windows. His curtains remained drawn tight, even during the day. The only sign of life from his flat was the faint hum of a fan and, occasionally, the creak of footsteps at odd hours. But then Ayesha noticed the timing. Every night, not some nights, but every single night, Rizwan left his flat at nearly the same hour between 2 and 3 a.m. The building would be silent by then, the world outside asleep, yet Rizwan came alive at that time. He often carried something with him, sometimes a small black bag, sometimes a suitcase. At first, Ayesha thought it was her imagination. But one night, while studying for an exam, she glanced from her window and saw him return. His white kurta was smeared with dark stains, and in the humid night air, a metallic odor reached her. Sharp, like rust, like blood. She froze. Her hands shook as she shook her mother awake. "Ma, I saw him. His clothes. They had blood. I swear." Her mother frowned, still half asleep. "Stop scaring yourself, Ayesha. Maybe it was paint, maybe food. You read too many crime novels." But the fear inside Ayesha refused to fade. And when, only days later, the news reported the disappearance of a 19-year-old girl whose phone signal was last traced near their neighborhood, her fear solidified into certainty. Something was terribly wrong with Rizwan. The police came to the building the next day, going door to door. Neighbors answered with sleepy voices, curious eyes, whispers about the missing girl. When Rizwan opened his door, he looked the same as always, calm, polite, almost bored. "I'm an IT freelancer," he told the officers smoothly. "Most of my clients are in Europe and America, so I work at night. That's why I go out late, to find better internet. I know it sounds odd, but it's normal for me." The police scribbled notes, nodded, and moved on. Most neighbors accepted his explanation. After all, he did seem ordinary. But Ayesha had been watching closely. She saw the way his hand trembled slightly when the missing girl's name was mentioned. She saw the faint flicker in his eyes, not of fear, but of calculation. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every creak in the hallway set her nerves on edge. And then, around 10:30 a.m., she heard dragging sounds. She pressed her eye to the peephole. Rizwan was hauling 2 large duffel bags, struggling with their weight. His breath echoed in the silence. The bags thudded heavily against each stair as he pulled them down. Against all reason. Ayesha slipped on her sandals and followed quietly, keeping to the shadows. In the dim underground parking lot, she crouched behind a pillar. Rizwan knelt beside the bags, adjusting the zipper. Something slipped out, falling with a faint clink to the ground. A bracelet. A delicate silver bracelet. Ayesha's heart stopped. She recognized it immediately. She had seen it in the news photograph on the missing girl's wrist. Her vision blurred with fear. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This was proof. She raced back upstairs, heart pounding so hard she thought it would give her away. She snatched her phone, ready to dial the police, and then came the knock. Slow, heavy, measured. Her body froze. Then the voice's voice. Calm, quiet, terrifying. "I know you saw something." Her mother looked at her, confused and scared. Ayesha pressed her finger to her lips, begging her not to speak. The voice outside the door grew lower. "Curiosity is dangerous, Ayesha. If you tell anyone, your mother won't wake up tomorrow." The silence that followed was worse than the words. They sat locked inside all night. Every sound in the hallway made their blood run cold. A creak, a faint shuffle, the almost playful scrape of metal against their door, as if Rizwan was dragging a key across it slowly. By morning, Ayesha's mother was in tears. "We'll have to leave Beta. We'll go stay with your uncle. We can't live across from this man." But Ayesha shook her head. "He'll know if we leave. He's watching us. Ma, there's no escape." And then, as if nothing had happened, Rizwan greeted them in the corridor later that day. His smile was polite, almost friendly. "Good morning. How are you both?" That smile chilled Ayesha more than any threat. It meant he was confident, untouchable, still in control. When the police returned for follow-up, Ayesha knew this was her last chance. With trembling hands and a breaking voice, she told them everything: the bracelet, the bloodstains, the duffel bags, the threats. This time they listened. A raid was arranged that same evening, when the officers broke down Rizwan's door. Neighbors crowded the hall. What they found inside silenced them all. The living room was bare, almost empty. But the locked inner room, the windows were sealed, the walls lined with soundproof foam. In the center stood a metal chair bolted to the floor, with restraints on the arms and legs. The smell of blood hit the officers instantly. In the refrigerator were rags soaked with blood. In a hidden trunk lay jewelry, IDs, purses, clothing, trophies of women who had vanished. Among them, the missing girl's belongings. Beneath the building, under loose cement blocks, the girl's body was uncovered. Rizwan was arrested immediately. During interrogation, he showed no remorse. He admitted he had been targeting women for months, luring them online, trapping them, then silencing them forever inside his workshop. The neighbors were horrified. How could such evil hide behind such politeness, such calm? Ayesha became the hero of the case. Her instincts, her courage to speak out, had stopped him from taking more lives. But the victory came with scars. "I still hear him," she confessed later. The knocks at the door, the footsteps in the hall. "Sometimes I wake up and swear I see him standing in the shadows of my room." The silent lodger was gone. But his shadow would never leave her. The police took Rizwan away, but his shadow never truly left. Ayesha saved countless lives by speaking up, yet even today, when the corridor goes silent and the night grows heavy, she swears she can still hear the slow knock at her door. Evil may wear a polite smile, but behind closed curtains, it hides in plain sight, sometimes just across the hall.